It's Mr. Gilbert. It's Thursday, and today is a science day. Now, we're going to talk about what happens when water flows after it rains. I bet you all have been in this scenario. Picture this. Beautiful day. You have plans to go to the park with your friends from Brook, and then all of a sudden, the storm rolls in, and you can't go outside. It's raining, it's thundering. Ugh, what a terrible day, right? But really cool stuff is happening. Let's talk about that cool stuff. We talked about last week in science and the previous week that water, rivers, and streams is flowing water, right? It's moving water, and it's always going to flow to the lowest point. In the case of rivers and streams, it often ends up in ponds or lakes, possibly even the ocean. It's going to flow downhill. Keep in mind what's happening to this water on the screen. I'm going to play this loop for you in just a second. And I want you to think about what's happening to this water. Where is it going? So let's try to play this and just watch the water move. Notice the street here looks like it's a little bit raised up here, and it's flowing. It's moving water, it just rained. And it's going to be flowing to the lowest point, just like when we talked about our landforms last week, how water will start from the highest point. In the case we were talking about mountains and hills, and it's going to flow downhill. So we're going to stop this, and let's take a look at another body of water right now. This is actually a river, and it just rained in this case as well. So what happens to the water in this river? Think about where it's flowing. Okay, so let's actually just go back and pause it here for a second. If you take a look at the water after it rained, there's a lot of water in this river, so you can tell it rained because it's high and it's flowing fast. And in the case here, again, it's going over these small waterfalls, and you can see that it's constantly flowing in one direction. You can even kind of see the slope of the river, and it's constantly flowing. It's constantly flowing down. It's going down, down, down to the lowest point, down somewhere here in the wooded area where we can't see. So I want you to understand that when it rains, water is going to always continue to move and flow to the lowest point. In the case of our last video, it was going into a storm drain. That storm drain, again, might lead into another, it might lead into some sort of a plant where they recycle the water. It might lead into a dump into a pond or even a lake where eventually it will stop flowing. But again, it's always going to go to that lowest point. Now, I do want to show you another picture. And let's take a look at this picture. So this is a picture of a puddle. I want you to think, why is there a puddle here? If we said that water's always flowing after it rains or during the rain, why would we have puddles left over on things like asphalt or pavement? I'm sure you've seen them. We've all played in them. My daughter Jovi loves to jump in muddy puddles, Peppa Pig, right? Here we have a puddle. I want you to think about the ground around it. I know you can't see a lot of the ground, but you can see right here that it's different than our video. If we go back to our video, where this is not necessarily flat, and this definitely is not flat. We can see it's constantly moving. It's going down, down, down to the lowest point. So why would we have a puddle? Think to yourself. But when land is fairly flat, it doesn't move, so it forms puddles. Okay, so that's why you see puddles on the street after it rains. A lot of times that's flat land or fairly flat land, so that water is going to puddle there and not really flow. So I want you to understand today that water after it rains is going to flow downhill outside. You could do this experiment right now. You could take a bottle of water, a container, a pitcher, fill it up if it's a nice day today. Go outside. Dump it down in your backyard. Dump it down on the sidewalk. See where it flows. Watch it move and it flows down. The big thing that I want you to understand is water's never going to go up. It's always going to go down to that lowest point. Let's take a look at what you're going to do today for your exit ticket. Let me just pull it up right here. Today for your exit ticket, you're going to answer two questions. How does water flow after it rains? First off, I want you to explain how this is formed. You're going to read the question, take a look at the picture here, and explain to me how that happens. Secondly, using pictures and words, how does water flow when it rains? You're going to go ahead and write out your response or type it out. That's fine as well. And then draw an illustration. I would really love if you could use some nice color in your illustration, some labels telling me where the water's starting, where it's ending up, and finally, some directional arrows so I know that you understand how water is flowing. Well, that's all we have for today. I'm very excited for tomorrow's lesson. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how the seasons, the different seasons, so fall, winter, summer, spring, affect the bodies of water that we learned about. Friends, make sure you submit your exit ticket on Seesaw, and we will see you tomorrow for Friday Science.